So we're going to start in a kneeling position tonight. And so kneeling isn't comfortable for everyone. So sit however you'd like to sit. I'm going to guide you into a kneeling position. If you have blocks or blankets, you can place them in between your legs so that your legs are like a number 11, or place blankets or a bolster underneath your hips from your sit bones to your heels to alleviate extra tension on the knees and or on the tops of the feet. So we're opening up the tops of the feet, perhaps feeling a stretch in the thighs. So the higher your hips are lifted, the less uncomfortable this will be. So the more comfortable this will be, the higher your hips are. And again, you can come out of this posture at any time in the practice. So sitting up tall, and bring your right hand underneath your right sit bone, just rocking it back and forth. Familiar thing that we do often, and feel the left sit bone. So you're really rooting and intentionally bringing the energy downwards. So the sit bones represent part of the pelvic floor, and then from pubis bones to tailbone, so hands in front to the pubis bones, tailbone right above the anus area, and the length of the pelvic floor. And coming into the transverse abdominals, so wrapping the hands around from back to front, just reminding yourself of the space that surrounds baby, these deep, deep muscles, the deepest muscles in the abdomen that are hugging baby and wrapping around baby, that give lots of support and love to baby. And these muscles wrap around to the midline of the body, so that you're like hugging. Hands can be on your lap or on baby. Take a deep breath in through the nose. Big breath out with a sigh. Big breath in. Big breath out. Last time, big breath in. And big breath out. And returning to your natural breath. Just noticing the in-breath and noticing the out-breath. Rubbing the hands in front of the heart, gazing down at your palms, inhaling deeply. Exhale, one more big sigh. And then placing the warmth of the palms over the eyes, inhaling deeply. Exhaling out. Drawing the heels of the hands down to the chin, and to the heart, and to baby. Breathing baby into your hands. And resting hands on baby. Inviting a silent intention for your practice. And welcoming a group intention. I am grateful to grow this healthy and beautiful baby inside of me. I am grateful to grow this healthy and beautiful baby inside of me. I am grateful to grow this healthy and beautiful baby inside of me. And bringing the hands to the heart, thumbs resting on the sternum, as we seal this intention in and open up for more physical practice with a round of 3 ohms. Inhale deeply. Exhale completely. And then inhale. And lowering the hands down. You can keep the gaze shifted to the earth or the eyes closed as we come into some pelvic floor exercises. So first and foremost, noticing your breath as you breathe in, allowing a softening in the abdomen and the pelvic floor. And then as you breathe out, this natural drawing inwards and upwards towards the heart. And the inhale softens and widens. And the exhale, pelvic floor draws inwards and upwards. Abdomen hug around, navel up towards the heart. And the inhale. And just keep moving at the pace of your breath with your in-breath and your out-breath. And begin to envision a thick smoothie. And so as you exhale, you're going to draw the smoothie up through the straw, about 3/4 all the way up, and then hold it there. Take a few breaths. You can keep drawing the pelvic floor in and up and holding the smoothie in the straw as you breathe. And then your next inhale will slowly let the straw and the smoothie come back down, filling up the cup once again. Letting go fully and completely. And then as you exhale, sucking the smoothie up through a straw, abdomen draw in, navel draws up towards the heart. Hold it here. Breathe multiple breaths as you continue to draw the smoothie up, only 3/4 high. So the glutes stay soft, the thighs stay soft. This is deeply internal work. And then your next inhale slowly lowers the smoothie through the straw, down and out, slowly filling up the cup completely as you continue to breathe out and let go. And take a few breaths, breathing out and letting go. And just keep releasing and filling up the cup. And then with your next exhale, one last time, drawing the smoothie up through the straw, 3/4 of the way up, hold it there, breathe a few breaths, keep drawing inwards and upwards. You're going to notice if your pelvic floor is able to draw it inward and up from the front to the back, and then abdomen. You might notice one is more stronger or able to stay there more easily than the other. Use the one that's stronger to support the other. And then your next inhale, slowly bring the smoothie down through the straw, and then filling up the cup, letting go completely. And keep releasing and letting go as you continue to breathe. From here, slowly lift off and forward, lifting the hips off of the heels, removing any props that might be underneath you or between your legs, setting them off to the side. Coming into hands and knees table pose. So crawling back on the mat, knees as wide as the hips are wider, wrists as wide as the shoulders are wider. Spine is long, tailbone is the back of the room. So there's lots of effort already in table pose. Inner elbows gaze at one another. Returning back to the awareness of the pelvic floor, the inhale, tailbone lifts, the collarbones broaden. Exhale, sit bones draw together, navel in towards the heart, rounding the spine. Inhale, lifts the sit bones away from one another, collarbones broaden. And the exhale, drawing up the smoothie through the straw. And then the inhale, lowering the smoothie back through the straw, filling up the cup. One last time, exhale, drawing up the smoothie. And then inhale, slowly releasing and letting it go, coming back into a neutral spine. And then from here, inhale, lift and lengthen. Exhale, gaze over your right shoulder at your right hip and draw the right hip towards your right shoulder, opening up, creating a C shape with your spine. inhale back to center. Exhale, left side, left hip to left elbow or left shoulder to left hip, and back and forth. So inhaling to center, exhale to the right. Inhale to center, exhale to the left, and just moving back and forth. And then returning back to center. Coming into barrel rolls. So we start with a cow-like tilt, the inhale, and then the inhale folds us over to one side like you just did with the C shape, and then rounding with the exhale, curling and rounding cat-like, and then over to the other side, the C shape, and then back to the start. So the exhale will draw you back down and around. The inhale will float through the cow-like pose and over to the other side. And then keeping moving at your own pace and moving in the opposite direction when you're ready. So the head and tail stay on the same line. And one more circle in this direction. And coming back to tabletops, to stillness. Taking a deep breath in, tuck the toes under. Exhale, downward facing dog, lifting the knees, hips to the sky, and the knees stay bent here. Walk the knees as wide as the mat or even off the floor. Bend the knees, drawing baby towards the space in between your thighs. Exhale. Or inhale will bend. Exhale will bring a little bit more straightness into the legs, but probably not so straight. Inhale will bend, sit bones widen. Exhale, drawing the heels towards the earth. They don't have to touch. Inhale will bend. Exhale, straighten a little bit. Last time. Inhale, bend. And then exhale, lengthen. Take a couple breaths here. Draw the sit bones wide, shoulder blades draw together. You can shake your head no, you can nod it yes, and you can always come down into table pose at any time. If you're in downward dog, inhale up on the toes, exhale down to the knees to tabletop, and then step the right foot forward on the outside of the right hand. So you're in a lunge. We're working towards a lunge. So right foot is easily on the floor. All four corners of the right foot are on the mat. And if you have blocks handy, you can bring your hands onto the blocks, scooch the back leg back further behind you, and walking forward and backward in a happen to be sitting a lot in your day, or even standing a lot in your day, where they're not moving quite dynamically in the day. And so your hands can walk forward and backwards. See if you can stay and maintain more of a long spine rather than rounding in. So the collarbones are broad. And then the next time the right knee's forward, stay there. Going to remove anything that might be on the left side. So right hand's gonna plop or stay down and press down underneath the shoulder. We're gonna reach the right fingertips forward and open out around behind you. So reaching out and up and back and down. And a couple more circles, reaching, opening the heart as wide as feels useful to you. Yeah. And then moving in the opposite direction. So floating the other way. Feeling your breath help to guide the movement. And one more circle in this direction. Planting the hand on the floor. Scooch the back knee a little bit forward and step the right foot back behind you. Swish the hips side to side. And then step the left foot forward on the outside of the left hand. So same thing, scooch the right leg back behind you. Hands can be on blocks. Left foot is easily on the floor. Can always toe heel off to the floor too. Doesn't have to stay on the mat. And then pressing in and then walking out, feeling a stretch in the back of the leg and moving at the pace of your breath. That's it. You got it. Getting a great stretch in the right hip flexor area, the space where the hip and thigh meet when we press forward, and getting a lovely, intense stretch in the back of the knee. And then the next, staying there. Planting the left hand below the left shoulder, sweeping the right arm forward, up and out behind you, and moving at the pace of your breath. Breathing in deeply, exhaling completely, right? And you can always breathe through the nose or breathe in through the nose and out through the mouth. As long as you're noticing it from time to time. And then moving in the opposite direction. Last circle in this direction, and planting the hand back on the earth, scooching any props off to the side, scooch the back knee forward, exhale, step the left knee back behind you, swish your hips from side to side. Tuck the toes under, sit back in the heels, feel the stretch in the soles of the feet, the space where the toes and the sole of the foot, the ball of the foot meet. And then rocking forward, and then rocking back. Walk your hands back behind you, preparing to stand up. So rolling all the way back towards the heels, press down into the feet to come up to standing. So pressing down in the heels to stand up and coming to the top of the mat. Tadasana, mountain pose. Feel the four corners of your feet rooting down. Inhale, sweep the arms up. Exhale, bring the hands in front of the heart. Inhale, sweeping up. Exhaling, sweeping them in front of the heart. Last time, big inhale, up. Adding on, sitting back into an invisible chair. Exhale, press down to come up. Little baby back bend. Fold forward. Swan dive, hands to the blocks or mats. In space between your feet, so they're as wide as your hips are wider. Inhaling to flat back. Exhale, fold in. Inhale, reverse swan dive. Press your feet away from one another. Hinge from the hips. Fingers sweep up to the sky. Palms thread in front of the heart. And then inhale, sweeping up. Exhale, sit back into an invisible chair. And then out, press down to come up, baby back bend. Exhale, swan dive, fold forward. Softness in the knees so you're not locked out. Inhale to flat back, hands to the shins or thighs perhaps. Exhale, fold and bow in. Inhale, reverse swan dive, pressing the feet away from one another, palms touch, threading the hands all the way to the heart of self-love. Inhale, sweep up. Exhale, sit back into an invisible chair. In breath. Out breath, presses down to come up, baby back bend. Exhale, swan dive, fold forward, hands to the blocks or mats. Inhale to flat back. Exhale, step the left foot back behind you, warrior one on the right. So left heel's planted on the floor. You can scooch the back foot closer to the long edge of the mat too, so that the hips are square to the front short edge of the mat. So right hip tracks back, left hip tracks forward. Tonight we're interlacing the hands. So first fingers are up to the sky and drawing the biceps towards the ears. Sometimes this isn't feasible, right? So goalpost arms might be great, or just a wide V, your choice. Shoulders melt away from the ears and breathing into the back of the ribs. Full deep breaths, warrior one, great stretch in the outer left calf, Achilles area, strong right thigh. Big open to warrior two. So scooching the back foot back even farther. Arms can be in a T, palms up to the sky. Gaze over your right middle finger. Full deep breaths. Rooting into right outer heel. And then left hand comes to left hip. Right forearm comes onto the thigh, hand can even come to baby, and draw the left shoulder blade towards the right. So the gaze can stay down at your right foot if you'd like, or you can lift the gaze up to or maybe somewhere in between. Feel a big stretch coming from the inner thigh. That's it. And then press down to come all the way back up to warrior two, stretching the front leg. And here we're going to come into a half moon. And so if you have a block handy, a block can be great, and it's going to be in front of your toes, which is where we are, or even a chair in front of you. So right knee's going to bend just like you were in side angle pose. Right arm is going to be straight. As you press down into the right foot, the left foot is going to come off the floor. And so you can see I'm like testing my balance here. And I'm going to even pick up my block so my block can travel with me. And I'm going to press out through the left heel. The left heel's no higher than my left hip. My hips are square, open to the long edge of the mat. And I'm working to open my heart to the long edge of the mat too. So right hand can come to right hip or right hand to the sky, your choice. It's really important to have something to look at, to gaze at. We call it a drishti in the practice. And then left hand can come to the hip, bend the knee. You're going to lower back down right where you were and coming up. So we can float from side to side. And it's hard to float. It takes a lot of balance and a lot of focus, but we have some time to play with it. So you can even keep the front knee bent or straight and reach the right fingertips back behind you to get a counter stretch. And then the next breath, coming back down, having a gazing point on the floor in front of you, left hand to left hip, pressing out through the left heel. Remember, it doesn't have to come up very high, no higher than your hip. Big balance here, you've got it. Keep opening up the hips to the long edge of the mat, opening up the heart to the long edge of the mat, and then pressing back down and coming back up. Baby, big stretch. Maybe you take the block like I did, maybe not. And coming down one last time. Lots of work, lots of strength. You got it. Press down into the right foot. Use all four corners of the right foot. Press out through the left heel. Foot is flexed. Maybe the hand lifts, maybe not. And then lowering back down, big step back through the lunge, coming all the way up to standing, lowering the hands down. Turn to face the long edge of the mat, coming into a crescent type of movement, and step the back foot forward so the hips are square to the front short edge of the mat. Good work. That's a lot. Shake it off, let it go. And then come back into rooting your feet on the floor. Big breath in, sweeping the arms up. Exhale, step back into invisible chair. Take an in breath. Exhale, down to come up. Big heart opens. Swan dive, fold forward, hands to the blocks or mats. Inhale to flat back. Exhale, fold in. Inhale, step the right foot back this time, warrior one on the left. So once again, right foot can scooch towards the long edge of the mat. Left hip tracks back, right hip tracks forward. Hips and shoulders are square to the front short edge of the mat. And you can scooch and take up more space to create a greater stretch in the right calf area. Right heel stays on the floor. Full deep breaths. Big inhale, opening up to warrior two, Virabhadrasana 2, scooching the right foot back behind you even more. Gazing over the left middle finger, rooting through the left pinky toe, left outer heel, inner thigh spiraling back. Left forearm comes onto the thigh, right hand to right hip, left hand to baby. Heart is open to the long edge of the mat. Gaze down at your left foot or the blocks in front of you. From here, keeping your right hand right where it is, begin to reach out and grab onto the blocks in front of you. And the block has 3 sides, so know what side might work for you, just notice. And begin to test, pressing down into the left foot to press out through the right, pressing down into the left to press out through the right. And you just keep going until you can find your balance. And maybe you play here the whole time, and that's great, because this is a lot of power and a lot of strength that we typically don't do in our everyday American life. And that's why we practice, to challenge ourselves, to notice where we can get out of our heads and into our bodies. So to come back down, we step back really far, circling the arms up, maybe stretching the front leg straight, and then moving back when we're ready. Having a gazing point, right hand to right hip, pressing down into the floor or block. Lifting the right leg a little bit, no higher than your hip. Hips are square to the long edge of the mat. Heart is square to the long edge of the mat. Maybe the hand lifts. Maybe it stays on your hip. And then floating back down. One more time. Gazing point, pressing down into the supporting leg to lift the floating leg up. And the floating leg is pressing out too, right? It's not just dangling. Everything has a purpose and an expression. Breathe deeply wherever you are. And then bend the left knee, pressing back out, reaching the arms up, circling them down. Turn to face the short edge of the mat, pivot the back heel off the floor, and step back to come up. Rooting the energy downwards. Inhale, sweeping up. Exhale, sit back into an invisible chair. Press down to come up. And float forward, forward fold, Uttanasana. Inhale to flat back. Exhale, fold in. Inhale, reverse swan dive, circling the arms around, palms touch overhead, threading to the third eye, self-trust, heart, self-love, and baby love. Couple breaths here, breathing baby into your hands, and resting hands on baby. All right, we're gonna work our way down through a vinyasa into the earth. Inhale, sweep up. Exhale, sit back into our last squat. Press down to come up. Swan dive, fold forward, hands to the blocks or mat. Inhale to flat back, and this is where we add on. Exhale, bend the knees a lot, plant the hands on the floor, baby step your feet back into downward facing dog. You can lower into table at any time. Exhale, table. Inhale, a cow-like pose. Exhale, a child-like pose. And bringing the hips back towards the heels. You can walk the knees really wide for an active or passive child's pose. So an active child's pose, fingertips reaching out, shoulder blades drawing towards the hips. Passive child pose, just letting your arms rest. Breathing in deeply. Exhaling completely. Giving yourself much honor and grace for this powerful practice that you've done. One more breath. And then walking the hands back towards the armpits, press down to come up. Coming through table pose. We're going to welcome a hip opener. So for our hip opener, we're going to come into pigeon pose. If you know that pigeon pose isn't suitable for you tonight or today, then come into your own hip opener, but I'm going to guide you through pigeon pose. So starting in tabletop pose, draw the right knee towards the right wrist and sweep the right foot over towards the left side of the mat, scooching the left knee back behind you. I'm used to mirroring, so saying actually what I'm doing is a challenge for me. So hips are square to the earth. So I'm not leaning and falling over to one hip or the other. My hips are, I have tighter hips, so they're actually lifted off of the floor for my body. And they're square to the earth. I'm hugging the knees in, which is why I can bring my hands to my hips. And I can be here steadily, feeling a stretch here in the hip flexor area and even in the outer right hip area. If you want more of a stretch, scooch, manually move the shin more parallel to the front short edge of the mat. So hands can be on the floor, draw the shoulder blades together, energetically hug the knees towards one another. So we're always active in prenatal yoga for our stretches. Shavasana is really the only one that we just go plop and plop down. All this hard work that you guys do that nobody really knows about until they are just like you in the practice. If you'd like, you can bring your forearms on the floor for a couple breaths, or bring your forehead down to the earth if baby lets you, if there's room. Breathing in deeply, exhaling completely. And then gently walk your hands back towards the front leg if they've left. Now here, if you'd like, you can roll onto the right hip and sweep your legs out in front of you, or tuck the back toes under. Keep exhaling, drawing in the smoothie with your pelvic floor. Lift the hips up, step back through table pose, and then into downward facing dog. And then wherever you went, if you swiped your legs forward, sweep them back around you so that you can come into table pose. And if you're in downward dog, just lowering back into table pose. And then once you're in table pose, left knee to left wrist, sweep the left foot over towards the right side of the mat, scooching the right leg back behind you. Front foot is flexed, back foot is pressing down into the floor, and the hips are square to the front short edge of the mat. So the left hip is tracking back, right hip is tracking forward. Energetically pull the knees towards one another. Breathe deeply. Collarbones are broad. You can rock your head from side to side, shaking it no. So there's no extra tension up here. And then if you'd like, you can bring the forearms to the earth or creating a pillow for your head with your hands. And if you have props handy, you can always bring your arms on the props and use those as you see fit. Full deep breaths, noticing any sensations. So maybe some tightness in the hips, and letting your breath soften any sensations or discomforts. And then bringing the hands, walking them back towards the front leg if they've left. Once again, you can roll onto the left hip and sweep your legs out, or tuck the back toes under. Exhale, draw the smoothie up. Draw the front leg back behind you through table pose, and then maybe welcome a downward dog, last downward dog of the practice. And lowering the knees. And then grabbing your bolster or a stack of blankets to place behind you. And you can just crawl to have a seat on the bolster or blankets so that the feet can be on the floor, knees to the sky. That's it. So taking your time. So all four corners of the feet are on the earth. Lots of space for baby and chest. Arms can be relaxed. Some people like to have them in front. And shifting the gaze down towards the earth, but allowing the head and neck to be long, so we're not rounding down or dropping the chin in. Breathing in deeply and letting go with a sigh. One more time, breathe in deeply and let go with a sigh. And notice your breath and where we can focus on the breath here. So allowing the in-breath to come through the nostrils and the out-breath to move through slightly parted lips. So the in-breath, there'll be more space to come in a little bit faster than compared to the out-breath, which will take a little bit longer. And that's okay, because the lips are just barely parted. There's softness in the tongue and the jaw. You can imagine gently blowing out a candle. And there's a sound that passes through the nostrils as you breathe in, and a sound that passes through the mouth as you breathe out. I'm just noticing and listening. So just as you were created, and just as you're creating your baby or babies inside of you, when the cells are multiplying and developing, the space at the perineum and the pelvic floor unfolds through the spine and opens up into the larynx, into the jaw. So the pelvic floor and the jaw and the mouth are very closely related, which is why the effort of the birthing woman is so deeply inward, focusing on what she can control, which is her breath, her muscles, softening the jaw, space between the teeth, shoulders melt away from the ears. She can swallow. Because when she focuses on the things that are above, so goes below. Our pelvic floor is a muscle structure, and it supports the birthing experience. And just as much as we would like and need a strong pelvic floor, we also need the pelvic floor to be able to relax and to soften and to let go, to be flexible. And so when we start to do this with our upper body, so goes below. And we can soften the space between the vagina and the anus. We can soften the space between the sit bones. Softening the abdomen. And with each breath, we let a little bit more melt and let go. Because we trust that the uterus knows what to do. It'll pulsate. The cervix will wrap around the uterus, helping to pulsate and help push baby downwards. And baby naturally knows to scooch and to move and to shift and make their way down. So if we as birthers get out of that way, we will have more control, perhaps a pleasant birthing experience. It's hard work. That's why it's called labor. It's not called walk in a park or a day at the beach. It's the hardest you're ever going to work in your life. And when we do this with a conscious mind, no matter how it unfolds, we know that we are strong and are capable of handling whatever comes our way. Draw the chin in towards the heart. Gently blink the eyes open if they've been closed, lifting the gaze. And then on the bolster, sliding down off, stretching the legs out in front of you, windshield wiper the legs. Stretch the right leg out, plant the left foot on the floor, knee to the sky, or bring the sole of the foot onto the inner thigh. Left hand around the left knee area, right fingertips to your side, lift and lengthen up. Exhale, twist the heart towards the long edge of the mat, gazing over your right shoulder. Big in-breath. And then exhale, twist. So we're twisting from the heart. Baby stays about facing the front of the room. Inhale. There's a little bit of an unwind, and the exhale twists. One last inhale. Exhaling to twist. And then inhale, unwind all the way back to center, switching your legs. So stretching the left leg out, planting the right foot on the floor, lifting up tall, left hand to the side. Inhale, lift and lengthen. Exhale, twist to the left. Gazing over the left shoulder. Inhale, there's a little bit of an unwind that happens, and the exhale, twist. Inhale, and exhaling. Keep pressing out through the left heel. Breathing in and breathing out. And one last inhale. And one more exhale. And then inhale, unwind back to center. Coming into Shavasana, or restful pose. I'm going to stay seated for Shavasana. So if you'd like, you come into your Shavasana pose. So maybe it's lying on your left side with the bolster on the side and a block and a blanket for your head to rest on, so that you can bring your top leg onto the bolster and hang out there. Maybe you'd like to sit against the wall. If you're 20 weeks or less along in pregnancy, perhaps you sit, perhaps you lay on your back if you're still comfortable with that. So go to your spot where you feel most comfortable for an extended Shavasana. So as you come into your Shavasana, taking a deep breath in, big exhale out, softening the space between the brows, allowing the eyes to close, depressing the tongue from the roof of the mouth. Letting your breath return to its natural state. knowing you have freedom to shift and to move and adjust yourself, because your comfort is the most important part of this posture. So make any changes as time goes by, and allow yourself to fully rest, to let go of muscular tension, and be with yourself and with this baby, and rest. Very gently bringing your awareness back to your breath and to your body lying on the floor. Grazing the thumbs over the finger pads. Wiggling the toes. Circling the wrists and ankles. And allowing the breath to grow a little bit deeper as you continue to explore a greater range of movement. Perhaps you stretch out in any kind of way in the position that you're in. And when you're ready to come up into a seated position, if you're lying on your left side, use the strength of your hands and arms to press down to come up, kicking the top heel towards the front short edge of your mat, lifting all the way up into a seat. And when you make your way into the seat, bringing hands to baby, reminding yourself of the intention that you created at the beginning of this practice. I am grateful to grow this healthy and beautiful baby inside of me. And bringing the hands to the heart center. Thinking about something, well, first, giving yourself gratitude and thankfulness for carving out this special time to be here for yourself in this pregnancy, showing up strongly and gracefully the way you've done tonight. And then search for one more thing that you're grateful for. When you have a sense of it, drop it down into the heart. I thank you for sharing your practice, your strength and vulnerability. I look forward to seeing you again. Sat Nam.